So we'll be taking today a whistle-stop tour of the Transfusion 2024 Transfusion Training Hub, which is a one-stop shop for transfusion education resources. So this was designed to support education and training for all healthcare professionals working in blood transfusion and for everyone wishing to increase their transfusion knowledge. So we have a very special guest today who will be taking you through this. Her name is Jill Caulfield, and she's a lead specialist for blood stocks management scheme. And she currently works on a secondment onto the NHS BT's Transfusion 2024 program. Over to you, Jill. Thank you.
Lovely. Thank you, Salma. Okay, hopefully that first slide's moved on there. So firstly, thank you for allowing me to talk today about the web page as part of the Blood Transfusion Education Discussion Group. It's a great platform to be on. And we are welcoming the Transfusion Training Hub. It's been developed and funded as part of one of the Transfusion 2024's projects. And I've been one of the subject matter experts employed to oversee and to help out with this project, and we're really proud of it. So we're hoping that everybody finds it useful. So just a little bit, my sort of hats. So I've been a biomedical scientist for 24 years. I was a previous a transfusion lab manager for 3 sites in the northeast of England. I'm a lead specialist for the blood stocks management scheme, and I sit on the transfusion science special advisory panel for IBMS as well. I'm the chief examiner for the IBMS Higher Specialist Diploma in Transfusion, and I've recently reviewed and helped develop new digital specialist diploma for transfusion. And all this education work's kind of gone hand in hand, so it's been really nice to work on these projects together. I'm the IBMS representative on the UK TLC, and I've been seconded onto the T24 education team as education development lead since September 2023. So what I'll be covering to do with the hub, I'll be talking a little bit about the history, the strategy, the development, the hub itself, and we'll do a demo, the launch and the future as well. So where did the idea come from? Well, in 2019, NHSBT and the NBTC, the National Blood Transfusion Committee, they produced a 5-year plan looking at clinical and laboratory transfusion. And they created a document called Transfusion 24. In it, there were 4 main areas or challenges that were identified. And that included stronger patient blood management collaboration, increased transfusion laboratory safety, enhanced information technology, and further research and innovation. Unfortunately, COVID hit, so this delayed many of the projects, and they've just recently started picking them back up in the last year or 2. So the increased transfusion laboratory safety had been highlighted as a challenge, and this was due to the concerns around the delivery of service from HTLs to support transfusion for patients, just for a number of reasons. But the ultimate goal was to have a skilled scientific workforce with a career framework, including the development of clinical scientists, leading to increased recruitment and retention. There were a number of deliverables that were produced for both the clinical and the scientific workforce, and a defined set of projects were then developed to address the challenges designed and described within T24. So where did those concerns come from? Well, the UK TLC performed a survey back in 2022, and there were 45 questions that related to various topics, and they were broken down into categories for staffing, IT, a just culture, and then qualifications, knowledge and skills. And the survey highlighted the increasing difficulties that laboratories were having in training and mentoring their inexperienced and new staff. They also noted that there was no specific training and development budget for some of the hospital laboratory respondents for transfusion, and the challenges for releasing their staff as well for whether it be external events or even face-to-face and virtual as well. The respondents were also keen to have more access to technology to aid with self-directed learning for staff in training. So from this, a recommendation was produced, which mentioned that UK TLC, in conjunction with other professional organisations, should consider providing interactive tools that could be used to support self-directed learning in the workplace. So what was the next step? Well, the subject matter experts were appointed to oversee the projects, and they were split into clinical and scientific and a joint clinical scientific as well. And I was appointed to collaborate on the scientific side. The first project was Project S1, and this was an employee at NHS BT had initially looked at this part as part of his MSc project, and he was focusing on the training needs and knowledge gaps within NHS BT's laboratory staff. And one of the recommendations was that for the subject matter expert to look at the gaps that were out in the hospital laboratories as well. And you may have seen a survey that went out last year. The second project S2, this was developed to review the transfusion content in IBMS accredited degrees for biomedical sciences. And those projects are underway and they have been carried out. But the project that we're interested in today was the joint one, and this is the clinical and scientific one to produce a one-stop shop of transfusion education resources that are already available, but to put them all in one handy place. So the strategy, well, a web page was to be developed, and NBTC, they agreed to host it on their already established website. We wanted it to be free and accessible 24/7. We collaborated with a number of departments in NHS BT, including the scientific, clinical, training and education team and the patient blood management education team as well, to provide a list of potential resources to put onto the web page. The subject matter expert and web developer, they decided then on the scope and the design of the web page. And there were monthly meetings around the development of the web page where they were established, and a working group was set up as well. But most importantly, what was it going to be called? So we wanted it to make sense. We wanted it to be able to be easy to find if you Googled it, to look after it. Many other names have been taken, and if you look on the NBTC website, the word education's already been used, the word useful tools, useful links, they've already been used. So after much deliberation, we all agreed on the Transfusion Training Hub. So it kind of, yes, it does what it says on the tin. It's a centralised area or a hub for transfusion training resources. So we developed our user requirement specification because it needed to tick a few boxes for it to be a success. So we wanted it to be easy to navigate. It's non-interactive. So what it is it holds direct links that take you to a specific already established resource or material or information or website, but we wanted to do it with the fewest clicks. And it is very easy to navigate, and it is broken down into topics as well. We wanted to have good, useful, current resources as well. So we've reviewed lots of resources and we've had them approved by clinicians and subject matter experts as well. We wanted to have various modes of delivery, and this was to complement different learning styles and the time available for users as well. Sometimes you haven't got time to read through a full document, but you might have 20 minutes to listen to a podcast, for instance. And we think we've achieved that. We've got links on there to various different platforms. We wanted to signpost qualifications or courses that we thought were going to be useful to people for their careers, but we also wanted to rate them in some sort of order of complexity. So we've got a learning level there from 1 to 4, which I'll describe in a while. And we wanted it to be inclusive as well. We didn't just want it to be for scientists. We wanted clinicians, transfusion practitioners, donors and patients to be able to access some documentation on there and also learn some basic transfusion as well if they wanted to. So it is located on the NBTC website, and I'll do a demo of it soon. There is some information when you log on to the site, and down the right-hand side when you log on to the front page there, we've got the levels for the learning guide as well. So we wanted this, it only applies to qualifications and the courses that are on there. The foundation level, we wanted this to be an introductory, hold introductory content for individuals wishing to build like a basic underpinning knowledge of transfusion science, providing a baseline for further development. So it could be useful for somebody who's just starting out in the transfusion career or a newly qualified biomedical scientist, for example. The intermediate level, that's one step up from foundation, and each topic's sort of explored in more detail. The level might be suitable for healthcare professionals who already work in transfusion, who require maybe a bit of more a greater knowledge of a subject applicable to their role and to maintain their competence. It's also suitable for individuals wishing to progress in their career or obtain further qualifications. The in-depth knowledge, this is a bit more advanced than the intermediate, and we would expect the learner to have a comprehensive understanding of transfusion at this level. You're only one level away from expert, and therefore you might find the content a little bit more challenging, a little bit more detailed, but it really is suitable for healthcare professionals wishing to solidify their knowledge and progress. And then the expert level. So this is designed for very experienced healthcare professionals. This level delivers highly detailed and complex transfusion science content with an aim to support individuals wishing to progress even higher and further in their career. And each of the levels is displayed by the light bulb. And within the topics that I'm going to show you, and we'll have a look in the demo as well, you can see where those light bulbs appear to keep everybody on track. So there's 9 topics. So it took a little while to put these into the right order, how we wanted to break them up, and we wanted it to make sense. We want people to be able to find their information as quickly as possible without having to scroll through lots of things. There is a search function as well, but we wanted the sections to make sense. So we've got 9 current sections. So we have donor and donation. So this focuses on things like eligibility criteria to allow people to donate, what happens to your blood after you've donated, and what are the components that are manufactured and why we need our donors. The blood components and product section focuses on the various uses for components and the guidance around them. The inventory management section covers blood stocks management scheme, emergency planning documents for shortages, for example, things like that. The pre-transfusion essentials section, this recognises patient consent, patient blood management, indication codes, etc. And then we move on to the serology and laboratory techniques. So this section signposts users to useful courses and qualifications, as well as resources from basic blood grouping to investigating complex antibodies. And the specialist patient section, this has been divided into different patient groups. So we have information in there for trauma, hematology patients, antenatal, transplantation and hemoglobinopathies, and there's various guidelines, etc., to accompany these topics. The serious adverse events and reactions section, so this includes incident management and is mainly focused on hemovigilance and the management of an incident. The governance section, so this highlights resources for understanding how and why we're regulated. It includes UCAS, SABR, MHRA, GMP, things like that. And then finally, we've got the career progression and professional development section. So signposting many courses and links to support CPD and career enhancement. Okay, so we'll take a little tour. So I'll just get Sasha to help me out with this one.
Absolutely, Jill, let me know what you need.
Hopefully this will appear by magic on your screen in just a moment. Sorry, I think the Wi-Fi in here is a little bit slow.
I'm ready to go if you like, Jill. I can share mine.
Yeah. It's okay. I think it's doing it. It's just very, very slow.
No probs.
I have one more go, and if not, you can help me out. There we go. Hopefully that should be on the screen. I think it is doing it. It's just taking a little while. I think it's just with the volume of maybe people on there.
Yeah, it's looking good for us, Jill.
Is it there? It's there, right? Okay, great. Okay, so if you visit the NBTC website, this is taking us, the link's taking us directly to the hub. However, if you were to join from the home page, you will see that it has its own little box down here. Is it moving along, Sasha? Because I can't see. Am I on the front page?
Looks good.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah. So if you're on the NBTC webpage, you can see you've got the Transfusion Training Hub. It's got its own little section down here. You can also find it in the Education tab at the top, and you can also find it within Transfusion 24 as well. It has its own little link here. So either one of those links take you directly to the same page. So you're greeted with some information about the hub here, and we've got a disclaimer because we are aware that we can't include every piece of useful documentation or website or anything on there. We do try, and we are going to try and keep this very current and up to date, but obviously that we are aware that there are things out there as well that perhaps we haven't got included on here. We have our learning guides for our different levels, and we've also got an email address as well. If you ever need to get in touch, if one of the links wasn't working or anything, we'd really appreciate, you know, that people would let us know about that, even though we will be reviewing it quite regularly. So then when we move further down, we've got our sections here. So if we were to go into one, let's go into donor and donation, we get a little bit of information about it here, and you can click on any one of these boxes. Doesn't matter which one, because the menu for the rest will appear down the side, and you can just move down the menus as you see fit. So one of the courses we've got on there is the PIDS course from NHS BT, and it tells you that we think this is about foundation level. So if you hover over any of the light bulbs, it tells you what level it is. And if we click on the link, so this takes us directly to the PIDS course there, where you can apply to join that course. So we really did try and do it in as fewer links as possible. Then we can move down. So let's have a look at some documentation. So we've got things in here like the patient information leaflet, donor consent for blood donation, and we've got some BSH guidelines on here. Now, if we go to the BSH guidelines, this is the one that we are, you know, pinpointing you to. So all about hematopoietic stem cell transplant, but it's about the serological testing. But if we go into the guidelines link itself, it actually takes you just to the guidelines page where we would expect you to put that search in for that title. And that's just so we can always have the latest version of the guideline there. Okay, we'll come back out of that. So I'm not sure if there is any e-learning on here. We'll have a little look. Yes, we've got some e-learning for health on here. And again, we've got organ and tissue donation on here. And we've got this as a foundation level as well. We might come back out and go into another one. If there's nothing on there at the moment, it'll just say non-found, check back soon. But on most of the sections, we have got information. Let me have a little look down another one. So if we go into blood components, so we've got a little bit of information about the difference between components and products there. And then we've got the various courses down here. So you can see we've ranked them in order, and we've put them in order of complexity as well. So all the courses that we think are applicable, but we've put them in order for everybody. The qualifications tend to be your degrees or MSc courses, you know, where you actually come out with a qualification at the end of it. So we've got BBTS on there, IBMS, and we've got the MSc, the Bristol MSc in there for transfusion and transplantation. E-learning as well. So we've got various e-learning platforms for the blood transfusion training. So we've got essential transfusion practice, we've got blood components, consent, GMP, and these take you directly to the web page to join those. And then there again, we've got the light bulbs. Various websites. So let's have a little look for some websites. So some of these you'll be aware of. So Blood Bank Guy, who doesn't love Blood Bank Guy? He's great. For blood components and products as well. So we've got the Blood Stocks Management Scheme annual report in there. We have some things from ISBT in there, which is really useful. We've got guidance from JPAC that are relevant as well. And then we've got NHS Blood and Transplant. Any podcasts? So podcasts, I didn't realize how many podcasts there were, I have to admit, and when I've gone onto these, they're actually brilliant. So I've learned quite a lot doing this myself as well. So the Blood Education podcasts are excellent. We've also got podcasts on here from BSH, some from SHOT, and there's some from IBMS as well. We'll go back to Transfusion Training Hub. So you get the gist of it. However, we'll go into the specialist patients one here, so you can see the categories that it was broken down into. So there we go. So we've got antenatal and neonatal care, the haematology oncology, patients with hemoglobinopathies, transplantation, trauma and major hemorrhage, and then we've got a separate little category here for just the special requirements that we find in blood transfusion. So if we go into, say, haematology, we can have a little look at any courses here. So we've got some courses where haematology transfusion is described, and you can get within that course. If we have a look at the e-learning, we have e-learning for health. Now, online education, got various things for online education in here as well. So what you might find is a lot of the BTEDG, like today, we're busy when they come available, we're uploading those into the various sections as well. And that takes you directly to that YouTube video as well. There we go. So we've got some the qualifications down there as well. So all the way up to expert level. So this is what we would kind of class as expert level if you're doing the HSST. Okay, so that's the various sections. So then the governance and regulations section, that's got a lot of things in about MHRA and about UCAS, etc. And we've got some really nice online education things in here as well. We've got some lovely, this is a great one, this MHRA, the Haemovigilance Specialist. So we've got Chris Robbie talking on this one. So we've used some really useful RTC webinars, and we've uploaded those as well, but we've got some really good discussion groups and information on here from SHOT, etc. So we've tried to put them all in an area that makes sense where you can find them. So governance, we've got civility, we've got reporting issues, we've got the HTA on here, reporting concerns at work, MHRA, SABRE, etc. But if you couldn't find anything, there is always the search function as well here, where you can just type a word in and it'll take it, to where it thinks you need to be. And then last but not least on here, we've got the career progression and professional development section. So this is where we've included every course that we think, is really useful. Lots of e-learning, lots of e-learning. There we go. All of the e-learning that we've got on there. And podcasts, different podcasts there from IBMS about education. We've got the Blood Bank guy, his Essentials podcast, which is really good as well. So yeah, so we hope that everyone finds it a useful tool, and we will be keep adding to this as well. Okay, I'm going to come out of that. Okay, just waiting for that to reload.
We can see it on our end, Jill.
I've just got a black screen at the moment. There we go. Okay, so hopefully that demonstration was useful. Just waiting for the slides to load. There we go. So the launch. So before go live, we had to check all of the content and have all the links tested and approved. So that, I roped a lot of people into kind of going through it and checking all the links on it. And we also had some stakeholder involvement because I thought this was really useful. So we had shown this to some biomedical scientists, some transfusion laboratory managers, some training officers, transfusion practitioners, a patient representative, UK TLC and SHOT as well. And we took feedback from those and tried to make some changes and additions, etc. We also have access to links and logos. We needed to get access approved by various companies, so BBTS, IBMS. So we had to approach everybody and say, are you happy to have it on this web page? We had go live discussions with NHS BT Comms as well to make sure we could put this out and it wasn't going to clash with anything else that was coming out at the time. We had a poster and a flyer, and that's designed for promotion. So that's gone out to transfusion laboratory managers, etc., for people to print off and to display everywhere. And the go live date was 8th of April, 2024. So those are the posters. So hopefully they went out to hospital laboratories and they can be printed off and put on education notice boards or passed around to people, because we have got the QR code on there and the links on there that take you directly to the web page. There are some limitations with this, so it's not interactive. It is just direct links, and we have tried to keep the number of clicks down. And where there's a YouTube video, it'll play directly from that link. But it is non-interactive. It's not designed to be. It's literally just a signpost of highlighting good material and good training resources for people. Keeping up to date. So I think we went live on the 8th, and I can already tell you there's things that have been changed, added. Many people are getting their web pages overhauled and adding, there's new documents coming out all the time. So that's going to be quite a challenge, but it is something that we're keen to do and keep on top of. The inbox needs to be monitored and the actions taken from that inbox as well. So we had to set that up, and ownership as well. So we have a team who are going to meet quarterly to discuss the addition of potential resources, etc., as well, to try and keep on top of this and keep it as current as we can. So did we meet the requirement? Well, the recommendation was for us to provide an interactive tool or resource that could be useful for self-directed learning. And the project was to design a one-stop shop for transfusion resources. And we did listen to this. So it was included in the development plan, which allowed us to have protected time and funding for this, which is something very rare in the NHS. So it's really good that this was actually pinpointed as one of the projects. The stakeholders who I mentioned before, they provided vital feedback to us, and they did say that they found it to be a useful tool. They said that it would be included in CPD plans, perhaps in their training and competency matrices. It could be useful for teaching and definitely for self-directed learning 24/7, because we appreciate people work shifts, etc. And the content will be current, relevant and approved as well for professional development. So we've got free e-learning platforms on there, all the way up to IBMS accredited university degree courses, etc. Are we going to have a better educated workforce? Well, we hope to contribute to that. And ultimately there'll be a benefit to patients, which is why we're here at the end of the day. So the future, so the web page, like I said, it is links, and those links will need to be maintained. The inbox monitoring as well. So from that and from feedback and things we get, that might shape how we change and develop this web page. The approval process for new content, that was something we have to consider. So we will have to say we've got approval for this, but we will also have some information or resources out there that we know perhaps aren't great. So it could be that we produce a list that we all know that we wouldn't add to the web page. It will need a full annual review. We also want to monitor the success of this. So we'll be looking at the Google Analytics for this to see how many hits the page gets, which topics have been really useful, which sites, what sort of platforms are people going to, what are the really successful things, and what are the things that people are kind of avoiding or maybe not using. And let's hope at the next UK TLC survey, we might see some improvement in education. And we don't know whether this will be an expansion to a website. So we're dipping our toe in it really with a web page, but ultimately it could end up that we grow and develop this into some sort of website where it is more interactive. But at the moment, we're just putting it out there, and we're gonna monitor it for now and see what the success of it's like. And we hope that people do find it useful. But we are open to feedback as well. So thank you. So any questions?
Thanks so much, Jill. We've had a couple of questions in the chat already. The first of which is, do users need to register an account to access the hub?
No, nobody needs to register an account at all. It's free, it's accessible. They just go onto there and just start using it, just like a normal web page. Some of the qualifications, etc., that are on there require you to sign up, but it would if you found that on your own anyway. So we're pinpointing people to these resources. However, some of them will require registration. Some of them require payment, you know, things like the degrees and stuff. It's just the same as if you were applying for a degree. But the web page itself doesn't require any registration at all.
That's great. Thanks, Jill. We also had a similar question from Miriam. Do you have to be an NHS employee to do any of these courses?
NHS employee. I think for some of them, so for the e-learning for health, I think you would need your NHS email, but I'm not entirely sure. I think I've got Anne Davison on the call, if she wouldn't mind answering or help me to answer that if she's still on the call. But then other ones, you know, the generic sort of ones, you wouldn't need to, the degrees you wouldn't need to be an NHS worker, but perhaps for the NHS education stuff, you probably would need to be an NHS employee, but not for all of them.
Hi, it's Sam Watson. NHS employees can access the e-learning via e-learning for health or ESR, depending on what your organisation uses. For private organisations, so non-NHS staff, some staff who are involved in providing NHS care may be able to get access through Open Athens. I will try and put the link to the eligibility link in the chat for you. Alternatively, if organisations are willing to pay, then there is eIntegrity, which is the private arm of e-learning for health. I hope that answers your question. Thank you.
Oh, lovely. Thank you, Anne. Thanks for that.
That's great. Thanks, Anne. Let's have a look and see what else we've got. We've got lots of positive comments there. One, for example, from Sharon says, love the one-stop shop idea. Well done. And thank you for this Brill project. We've had another question. Can people suggest new content?
Absolutely. So if they want to contact us via that email on there, then absolutely, you know, we're happy to have a look at different content, and then we're hoping to have quarterly meetings where we'll discuss the content and say, yes, that's great, we'll add that and stuff like that. So yes, there's always going to be something that we haven't included on there. We've tried to put a lot on, but there will be new stuff that comes out all the time. So we're hoping to get someone from SHOT as well onto our working group as well, so that we can capture all of the new stuff that kind of comes out as well. But absolutely, yes, and it would be discussed and then added.
That's great, Jill. Thank you. We've had another question there. Is there plans for the same to be set up for transfusion practitioners? Amazing piece of work, Jill and team. Well done.
The transfusion practitioners is a separate project that is being looked at the moment. We would hope that transfusion practitioners could use this, and there's a lot of material on there that is applicable to transfusion practitioners. And there is some clinical stuff on there as well. So it could be that if anybody thinks there's some useful resources for TPs that need to go on there, then we're quite happy to put them on. You know, we're all under the same umbrella. We all want to do the best for the patient. So we're quite happy to put more content on there. But a separate web page, possibly not, but we would potentially add more to this.
That's great. Thank you, Jill. We've had a question asking some people that maybe haven't been able to join in right at the start. Would these slides be available to read, or would we be waiting for our recording to be up on YouTube? What's best for you, Jill?
I could share them, but I wouldn't know where to share them. So perhaps just from the YouTube video, do you think that would probably be best? Or if somebody wanted to contact me, I can put my email in the chat. That would be fine.
Great, thank you. Another question, any future plan on making an app?
Not that I'm aware of. No, not that I'm aware of, but I do know that sometimes if you mention an app to people, they the first thing they say is people aren't meant to have their phones when they're working, and they're not meant to have their phones in the laboratory, even though we know everybody has their phone in their pocket when they walk around. So it's more or less web-based, so that everybody can get to a PC and they can, be given some time maybe to have a look at the CPD on there. But not that I'm aware of. That there's no idea, no plans to make it into an app that I'm aware of. But it could be something that's talked about for future discussion.
Absolutely, we might have someone on the call who's had their own idea as well. Who knows? We've had one of our attendees ask, could you provide links to the posters so that we can print them and display them on the education boards?
Yes. Would I just put this into this chat at the end, or would I do that?
Absolutely. You could also, if you send them to me, I could send them out with the certificates that can go out along with the after the evaluation, if that's best for you.
Yes, that's fine. Yes, I'll send the links to you, Sasha. Yeah, that absolutely. Yes, get them printed out, get them stuck up everywhere. It's a resource we want everyone to be able to have access to.
Great. Had lots more thank yous. If anyone else has any questions that they would like to ask and would prefer not to use the chat function, feel free, raise your hand and we can unmute you and you can ask your question to Jill. Great, so many positive comments. Thank you, very useful to have it presented, a great project.
Oh, that's great. That's really good. Hope it's useful. Andrea.
Hi, Jill. Sorry.
Hiya.
They're both trying to press mute then. I think it's an amazing resource. As you know, I think it's amazing and you've done a fantastic job. There was a question I've just seen in the chat that I'm not sure if we've missed. It said, is there any resources for the HSD?
There is a link to the HSD in there. For the IBMS Higher Specialist Diploma, there is a link in there that takes you directly to that. And then if you were to work your way through the syllabus, there will be some information. There will be pieces of work that you could potentially use to work through the syllabus towards the HSD. Absolutely.
Brilliant. Thank you. I was just picking that one up. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah, if you work through the
Andrea.
syllabus, it's not like everything's all in one place, but the different categories, if you work through that syllabus, you could potentially, hopefully you can come to this and use that as a resource to find some information quickly.
Lovely, lots more thank yous.
Yeah, that's lovely.
So if we do get any questions that people haven't had a chance to put in the chat now, they can always send them to us by email.
Yep, absolutely.
Right.
I'll do my best to answer them.